They didn't hug me goodbye. They handed me a spare key. "Just in case," my son said, like I was the backup battery in a drawer. And I nodded. Because I'm 68. Because I'm a mom. Because I've been trained my whole life to be easy. "Can you stay here while we're gone?" My daughter-in-law asked, already half turned toward the car. "Water the plants, bring the mail in. And please, don't forget the trash on Tuesday." "Do you hear that?" Not come with us. Not we'll miss you. Not even thank you. Just tasks. I stood there on my porch in my cardigan, holding that spare key like it was a medal for good behavior. And then they said the sentence that stuck to my ribs. "You wouldn't enjoy this trip, Mom," my son added. "It's a lot of walking. Late nights, you know. You'll be more comfortable here." More comfortable. I smiled. I waved. I stayed quiet. Because what was I supposed to do, cry on the porch and beg for a seat? I went inside and did what grandmas do when they're trying not to feel something. I cleaned. My kitchen looked the same as it always did, recipe cards in a tin. A chipped mug I refused to throw away. A school photo magnet of my granddaughter. Lily with braces and a grin too big for her face. I told myself, it's fine. I told myself, they're busy. I told myself, you're lucky they trust you. And then the mail came. There was a large envelope with a travel company logo on it. Not my name, their name. I didn't even open it right away. I carried it inside like it might bite. And isn't that strange? A piece of paper can't hurt you, but the truth inside it can. At the table, I slid my finger under the flap and pulled out a printed itinerary. A family resort, 5 nights, ocean view suite, 2 adults, 2 kids, and right beneath the price, a line that made my stomach drop. Emergency contact, Marlene Hayes. That's me. Not invited, not included, just listed. In case something goes wrong. I stared at that line for so long my coffee went cold. And suddenly I could see it clear as day, the pattern I kept pretending wasn't real. I wasn't their mother. Not really. I was their safety net, their free pet sitter, their last-minute school pickup, their can you bring paper towels person. And here's the part that hit the hardest. They weren't even being cruel. They were being normal. Normal for people who get used to you saying yes. Her hand grips the edge of the table, knuckles pale. I stood up fast, like the chair had shocked me, walked to the living room, looked at the framed photo of my late husband on the shelf. Tom in his old work jacket, laughing like life was simple, and I whispered, when did I become the extra? Then my phone buzzed. A text from my daughter-in-law. Don't forget to lock the back gate. The raccoons got in last summer. Raccoons. That's what I was to them right now. A guard. I looked down at the spare key in my hand. And for the first time in years, I asked myself a question I hadn't dared to ask. What if I didn't stay? She sets the key on the table, not gently. Because I had a key. And I had a life, and I was done being just in case. You know what's terrifying? It's not booking a flight at 68. It's saying no for the first time, and realizing you don't know who you are without your yes. I stood at my kitchen counter with that itinerary spread out like evidence. My hands weren't shaking because I was old. They were shaking because I was awake. I picked up my phone and stared at the travel company number printed on the page. And I actually heard my own thoughts arguing. Don't cause trouble. Don't be dramatic. They'll call you ungrateful. Maybe it was a mistake. Have you ever defended someone in your head while they weren't even thinking about you? I pressed call. A cheerful voice answered, too upbeat for what I was about to do. Thank you for calling. How can I help you today? I cleared my throat. Hi, I'm calling about a reservation. The last name is Hayes. She clicked around on her keyboard. Yes, I see it. Ocean View Suite. 4 travelers. How exciting. Exciting. Like I was supposed to smile. Like I was supposed to clap from the sidelines. My mouth went dry. I need to remove myself as the emergency contact. There was a pause. Oh, okay. Who would you like to replace it with? And right there, I almost laughed. Because I realized something. They had my name listed because they assumed I'd be available. Always available. I said, no one. Just delete it. Her voice lowered like she'd entered a church. I'm not sure we can do that. I leaned on the counter. Try. Another pause. More typing. Then, okay, it's removed. And when she said it, I felt this strange surge in my chest. Half relief, half grief. Like I'd just taken my own name back. Then I looked at the itinerary again. And this time I didn't see a vacation. I saw a mirror. A mirror that said, this is what they do when you've made yourself convenient. So I did something small. That felt huge. I called my son. It rang once, twice, then his voicemail. I stared at the screen. Do you know how many times I've answered on the first ring? Even when I was in the shower. Even when I was tired. Even when I was eating dinner and my fork was midair. And now, for the first time, I didn't leave a message. I just set the phone down. Then I made a list. Not a grocery list. A truth list. I am not fragile. I am not furniture. I am not a free service. I have money I saved by skipping little joys for years. And that last one hit me hard. Because it's true, isn't it? The responsible generation has a special talent for starving quietly. New shoes? These are fine. A weekend away? Maybe next year. A manicure? That's silly. A new dress? Where would I even wear it? And suddenly I thought, what if I wore it for myself? In the back of my desk drawer was my passport, slightly bent at the corner. Under it, a photo of me at 31, hair bigger, smile louder, eyes full of plans. I stared at her like she was a stranger. Then I whispered, I'm sorry I left you behind. And then I did the thing I had been trained not to do. I opened my laptop. I searched flights, not to the resort they were going to. Somewhere else, somewhere I'd always wanted, but never said out loud because no one had asked. Charleston? Santa Fe? Savannah? My finger hovered like it was illegal. And I asked myself a question that made my throat tighten. If nobody approves, do I still get to go? I picked one. I clicked book. And right after the confirmation number appeared, I started crying. Not pretty crying. The kind where your face gets hot because your body is letting go of years. Years of being needed but not known. Years of being included only when someone needed help. The next call I made wasn't to family. It was to my neighbor, Mrs. Patel. Could you maybe check my mail for a few days? A pause. Marlene, are you okay? And I surprised myself with how steady my voice sounded. I'm better than okay, I said. I'm leaving. I grabbed my suitcase, and then I froze, because the hardest part wasn't the flight. The hardest part was imagining their faces when they realized the spare key didn't control me. I put the suitcase on my bed and just stood there. Because packing isn't only about clothes. It's about identity. What do you bring when you've spent years being the reliable one? What do you wear when no one is watching? And why did that question feel so dangerous? My closet was full of the same story. Beige sweaters, soft shirts that hide the belly, shoes made for errands, clothes that say, don't take up space. I ran my hand along the hangers and felt something close to anger, but not loud. More like a quiet heat. When did I start dressing like I'd already left the room? I pulled out a pair of black pants and folded them, then a plain blouse. Then I stopped, because I suddenly pictured myself in an airport bathroom, catching my reflection under fluorescent lights, looking like someone's tired assistant. And I said out loud, no, just one word. But it felt like a door opening. In the back, behind a winter coat I barely use, I found a denim jacket with little brass buttons. I hadn't worn it in years, not because it didn't fit, because it felt too much, like I was pretending I still had a life outside of being needed. I held it up and laughed softly, the way you laugh when you catch yourself lying. Too much for who? I asked the empty room. I packed it. Then I found a red scarf. I bought once at a street fair and never wore because my daughter-in-law said, "That's bold for you. That's bold for you," like I was a household appliance that came in one color. I packed the scarf, too. In the bathroom drawer was a lipstick I'd kept like a souvenir. Old but still usable. I turned the tube up and stared at it. When was the last time I put on lipstick because I wanted to, not because it was Thanksgiving and I was trying to look nice in family photos? I put it in the bag. Then I packed the boring stuff, meds, chargers, socks that don't slip down. And then I sat on the edge of the bed, breath caught. Because here was the real question. What do you leave behind when you've always been the one who stays? I wrote a note for Mrs. Patel. Thank you for checking on the house. I'll be back soon. Call me if you need me. I stared at the last line. Call me if you need me. That sentence has run my life. So I crossed it out, and I rewrote it. Call me if it's an emergency. My hand shook, but I liked the way it looked. Clear, clean, honest. The next morning, I locked my door and stood there with my keys pressed into my palm. I expected guilt to hit me like a wave, but it didn't. What hit me was something else. A strange lightness, like I'd been holding a heavy bag for years and finally set it down. I walked to the curb, and the rideshare car pulled up. The driver was a young woman with long braids and a cheerful voice. "Airport?" she asked. I nodded. She glanced at me in the mirror. "Going somewhere fun?" I almost said no, out of habit. Instead, I heard myself say, yes, and my voice sounded unfamiliar, like it belonged to me from a long time ago. Airports are loud in a way that makes you feel either invisible or exposed, and at first I felt both. A man bumped my shoulder and didn't apologize. A couple argued in line about snacks. A kid screamed over a stuffed animal. I stood there with my boarding pass and thought, I could still turn around. And then I asked myself, very calmly, if I turn around now, who am I doing it for? That question carried me all the way to security, all the way to the gate. The gate agent looked at my ID and smiled politely. Traveling alone? Yes, I said, and then I surprised myself by adding, on purpose. She paused, like she didn't hear that every day. Good for you, she said, quieter now. I didn't need her approval, but I took the kindness anyway. On the plane, I chose a window seat. Not because I love heights, because I wanted proof. I wanted to see the ground fall away and know I didn't imagine the courage. A man sat beside me, maybe mid-40s, wearing a baseball cap and reading glasses. He nodded hello, then went back to his book. No questions, no pity, just normal. And isn't that what we want sometimes? To be treated like a person, not a problem? As we lifted off, my phone buzzed. A message from my daughter-in-law. Did you bring the packages inside? Also, the Wi-Fi is weird. Can you restart the router if it goes out? I stared at it. Then I put the phone in airplane mode. And for the first time in years, I let someone else figure it out. Outside the window, the clouds looked soft and endless. My chest tightened, not with fear, with possibility. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't running away. I was finally walking toward myself. The first thing I noticed in Santa Fe was the air. Dry, clean, honest. Like it didn't care who I was related to. Like it didn't need me to be useful. I stood outside baggage claim with my suitcase and felt the sun on my face. And I had this strange thought. What if I'm not too old? What if I've just been living in a life that kept getting smaller? The ride into town was quiet. The driver didn't talk much, which I loved. I watched the buildings go by soft brown walls, bright doors, little bursts of color like someone insisted on beauty. My hands rested in my lap, and for once, they were still. No list in my head. No errands waiting. No, can you just... hanging over me like a hook. And then the guilt tried to sneak in. Because guilt is loyal, isn't it? Even when the people you're loyal to don't notice what it costs. Have you ever done something good for yourself and immediately felt like you had to pay for it? The place I booked wasn't fancy, just a small inn near the plaza. Clay tile floor, a woven blanket on the bed, a little vase of dried flowers by the sink. The woman at the front desk looked up and smiled like she meant it. Welcome, Ms. Hayes, Ms. Hayes. Not Grandma, not can you, not emergency contact, just me. I signed my name and felt a lump in my throat for no logical reason, because being addressed like a full person shouldn't feel rare. But it did. I unpacked like I had all the time in the world. Not rushing. Not prepping for someone else's needs. And then I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at my hands again. These hands have packed school lunches, wrapped Christmas gifts, cleaned up spilled juice, held a dying man's fingers in a hospital room. And lately, they've mostly held other people's schedules. I stood up, put on the denim jacket, wrapped that red scarf around my neck, one soft swipe of lipstick, not to impress anyone, to remind myself I still exist. The plaza was alive in a gentle way, not loud, not rushing. People moved like they weren't being chased by their own lives. A man played guitar near a fountain. A little girl danced in circles while her mother filmed. I watched them and felt something twist inside me, sweet and painful. Because my granddaughter Lily used to dance like that in my kitchen, socks sliding on the tile. When did she stop coming over? When did I stop being invited to the ordinary moments? I checked my phone. 3 missed calls. My son. No message. Just calls like a siren. I stared at his name and felt 2 feelings hit at once. Relief and anger. Relief because he noticed I was gone. Anger because it took my absence to make me real. I put the phone back in my bag without calling. What do you do when someone finally reaches for you? Only after they dropped you? I wandered into a small market. Turquoise bracelets, silver rings, pottery with tiny painted storms on the sides. An older woman stood behind one table, hair in a long gray braid, face lined like she'd earned every year. She watched me look without pushing. That scarf suits you, she said. I laughed softly. It's new for me. She nodded like she understood exactly what I meant. New doesn't mean fake, she said. Sometimes it means returned. Returned. That word landed in my chest like a stone. Heavy, but grounding. I picked up a simple silver ring, nothing flashy. The woman said, "Buy it because you like it, not because it matches something." And I realized how often I'd bought things that matched other people's expectations. I bought the ring, slipped it on right there. My hand looked claimed. At a cafe, I ordered coffee and a warm pastry and ate slowly, letting crumbs fall where they wanted. I pulled out a postcard with a painted desert sunset. And I wrote to Lily, not a long letter, just a hook. "Lily, guess what? Your grandma is in Santa Fe by herself. I bought a ring and didn't ask anyone if I should. Do you ever feel like people only see you when you're helpful? Call me when you can. Love, Grandma." I stared at the words. Then I added one more line. "I miss you. Not the job, you." As I let the postcard slip away, my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't my son. It was my daughter-in-law, and the message preview was only 5 words. "Where are you? Answer me." I didn't open it. Not yet, because my hands were finally learning a new habit. Not grabbing, not fixing, choosing. On day 2 in Santa Fe, I realized something embarrassing. I didn't know what to do with my own time. Not because there wasn't anything to do, because I'd spent so many years filling the hours with other people's needs. That quiet felt like a test I could fail. I stood in my room holding a brochure from the front desk. Art markets, museum, a cooking class, a guided walk, live music at night? And my first thought was not, what sounds fun? It was, what's the most reasonable option? Reasonable, safe, small. Have you ever noticed how we call it being practical, when we really mean not wanting to be judged? I walked to the George O'Keeffe Museum because it felt respectable. Like no one could accuse me of being selfish if I was doing something cultural. Inside, it was quiet in a way I hadn't felt in years. People spoke softly, like the building itself was listening. I stood in front of a painting that was mostly sky. So much space, so much boldness. And I felt my throat tighten because all I could think was, she didn't paint like she was asking permission. When did I start living like I needed a permission slip? A woman sat down beside me on the bench. Around my age, short white hair, bright earrings, a tote bag that said, "Ask me about my dog." She looked at the painting, then at me. "You look like you're thinking hard," she said. I almost gave the polite answer, the one I've used my whole life. "I'm fine," I started. Then I stopped myself. "Because I'm tired of being fine. I'm figuring something out," I admitted. She nodded like that was normal. "Same," she said. "I'm Evelyn." "Marlene?" She smiled. "Not Grandma?" The question hit me so fast I blinked. "My family calls me Grandma," I said. Evelyn tilted her head. "And what do you call you?" I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. That silence wasn't empty. It was crowded. Crowded with every time I'd answered to a role instead of a name. Evelyn didn't rush me. She just sat there, looking at the sky on the canvas like it was giving her patience. Finally, I said quietly, "Marlene?" "I call me Marlene." "Good," she said. "So, Marlene, why are you here?" I laughed once, sharp and surprised. "That's a long story." "I've got time," she said. "I'm on my first solo trip, after 41 years of marriage." I turned to her. "Divorce?" "Widowed," she said simply. And then I realized I'd been widowed in other ways for a long time. That line slid under my ribs. Widowed in other ways, like being physically present but emotionally shelved, like being loved, but only in the shape people prefer. What if the problem isn't that your family doesn't love you, but that they've only loved the version of you that's convenient? We walked out together, slow, into the sunlight. Evelyn pointed across the street to a flyer taped in a shop window. "Beginner pottery class tonight," she read. "You want to go?" My first instinct was to say no. My second instinct was to explain. "My hands aren't steady," I started. "I'm not really—" Evelyn held up her palm. "No speeches. Just answer." I felt my pulse in my fingertips. Do I want to? Not do I deserve to? Not will someone approve? Do I want to? "Yes," I said, almost whispering. Evelyn grinned. "Perfect. We'll make something ugly and call it art." My phone buzzed in my purse. Again. Probably my son. Probably my daughter-in-law. And for once I didn't check, because right then I wasn't a problem to solve. I was a person headed somewhere. That evening I sat at a wheel with clay under my nails. It was messy. My first bowl leaned to the left like it had an opinion. I laughed, really laughed, when it wobbled. Evelyn's mug collapsed halfway through and she shrugged. Story of my life. And in that warm, dusty room, Something in me unclenched, because no one needed anything from me there. No one graded me. No one corrected me. I could fail and still be welcome. I stared at my lopsided bowl and felt tears come up for no clear reason. Evelyn glanced at me. "You okay?" I nodded. "I think so." Then I said the truth out loud like a new language. I forgot I was allowed to make things just because I wanted to. At 11:48 that night, my phone looked like a small emergency. 12 missed calls, 7 voicemails, texts stacked like bricks. And there I was, sitting on a bed in Santa Fe with clay still under my fingernails. Staring at the screen like it could shout, I told myself I didn't care. But that's not true. Of course I cared. I just didn't want to go back to the old rhythm, where their panic became my responsibility. Have you ever noticed how some people only reach for you when their life wobbles? I put my earbuds in, like I was bracing for weather, and pressed play on the first voicemail. My daughter-in-law's voice came through tight and fast. "Marlene, where are you?" You didn't answer. The trash wasn't out. The neighbor texted me. "We're leaving soon, call me back." The trash. That was the first thing she mentioned. Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "Did something happen?" Just the trash. I listened to the next one. My son, his voice was lower, controlled in that way men get when they're trying not to sound scared. "Mom, please call. We're worried. This isn't like you. Isn't like you, meaning this isn't useful. This isn't predictable. This isn't convenient." I stared at the ceiling fan turning slowly and felt my chest fill with something hot. Not rage, more like a tired fire. Because I could name the pattern. The same one that showed up every time they needed me. "Can you pick Lily up? We're stuck at work." "Can you run to Costco? We forgot paper plates." "Can you come early to set up? Can you stay late to clean up?" And then, when I asked for something, a visit, a lunch, a real conversation, it was always, "We're so busy, Mom." I played another voicemail. This one was my son again. Did you leave? Without telling us? Lily's asking questions. Just call, okay?" And that's when the guilt tried to crawl back in. Because the moment you hear the kids, it's like a hook in your heart. I sat up, phone in my hand, and asked myself something hard. If I call back right now, will it be because I want to? Or because I can't stand being the bad guy? I didn't press call. Instead, I opened my texts. My daughter-in-law had sent, "This is selfish." Then, "You're scaring the kids." Then, "Answer." 3 words. Like I was a teenager past curfew. I set the phone down. My hands were steady now. And that's what scared me most. Because steady meant I was serious. What do you do when you finally feel calm and everyone else calls it cruel? The next message was from Lily. Just one line. "Grandma, I didn't know you still went places." I read it once. Then again, "I didn't know you still went places." Not, "I hope you're okay." Not, "Mom is mad." Just surprise. Like my life had been paused in her mind. Like I belonged to the house. Like I was part of the furniture. And that sentence cracked something open in me. Not anger, grief. Because Lily is a good kid. She loves me. She's not trying to hurt me. She just learned quietly from watching her parents that Grandma stays put. That Grandma is a constant, a background hum, a helpful shadow. I typed back before I could overthink it. "I go places, sweetheart. I just stopped being invited. I'm safe. I'm learning how to be a person again. Want to talk tomorrow?" She replied almost right away. "Yeah, please, I miss you." I put my hand over my mouth like I could hold myself together that way. Then I did something I hadn't planned. I recorded a short voice message for my son. Not long, not dramatic. Just clean truth. "David, I'm safe. I needed space. I'm not punishing you. But I'm not available as the automatic fix anymore. I'll talk when I'm ready. Please don't put Lily in the middle." I stared at it for 10 seconds. Then I hit send. The next morning I woke up and my first thought wasn't them. It was, what do I want today? And that felt like the beginning of a different life. I waited until the sun was fully up to call Lily. Not because I was busy, because I was scared. Scared that if I heard her voice, I'd melt back into the old version of me, the version that says, "I'm sorry," even when I'm the one who's been hurt. I stared at her name on my screen. Lily Hayes, my granddaughter. 15 years old, funny, smart, pretends she doesn't need anyone. But I've seen her eyes when she thinks no one is looking. I hit call. It rang once, then twice. And she answered like she'd been waiting with the phone in her hand. Grandma? Her voice cracked on the second syllable, and something in my chest tightened, sharp and quick. I'm here, honey, I said. I'm okay. There was a small inhale on her end. Relief. Then very quietly, are you mad at us? Us? That's what kids do. They collect everyone's mess and call it ours. I swallowed. I'm not mad at you. Not even a little. Mom says you're having a moment, she said, like she was borrowing adult words and trying them on. I almost laughed, almost cried. A moment, I repeated. That's one way to say it. Have you ever heard someone describe your pain like it's a phase you'll get over? Lily was quiet for a beat. Then she said, Dad's freaked out. He keeps checking your driveway camera. I closed my eyes. He has a driveway camera now? Yeah, she said. He says it's for safety, but it's mostly because he likes to feel in control. That sentence hit me hard. Not because it was cruel, because it was true. And because my granddaughter could see it so clearly, I asked gently, Did they tell you I was supposed to stay home? They said you didn't want to go, she admitted. Like you preferred it? Preferred it. Like I'd ever preferred being left out. I felt anger rise, then settle into something calmer. Lily, I said, can I tell you something honest? Please. I didn't say no, I said. I wasn't asked. The silence on the line was long, and I could hear her breathing. Then she whispered, That's messed up. I let myself smile. Yes, it is. She cleared her throat. Grandma, I didn't know you still had dreams. There it was again. That innocent shock, like dreaming has an expiration date. My eyes burned. I do, I said. They just got quiet for a while. Where are you? She asked, and her voice brightened a little. Like she wanted to picture me somewhere real. Santa Fe, I said. I took a pottery class last night. You? Pottery? She laughed, a real laugh. Did you make like a ghost bowl? A very wobbly bowl, I said. It leans like it's tired. I want to see it, she said immediately. And that simple sentence did something to me, because it wasn't a demand. It wasn't a task. It was interest. She wanted to see me, not what I provide, not what I fix. Me. When was the last time someone asked about you and actually meant it? I heard a door open in the background on her side. Then her voice dropped. Dad's coming. He wants the phone. My stomach flipped. Do you want me to talk to him? I asked. I don't know, she said honestly. He's scared you won't come back. I took a slow breath. I will come back, I said. But I'm not coming back the same. She went quiet, then said, Good. Just one word. But it sounded like a vote. Like permission. Like pride. Before we hung up, I told her, You don't have to carry their feelings, okay? I know, she said. But she didn't sound sure. So I added, I'm your grandma, not your burden. She whispered, Okay. We hung up. I stared at my phone, and for the first time I didn't feel pulled in two directions. I felt clear. Then I opened my notes app and wrote one line. My love is not the same as my availability. When I walked into the courtyard, Evelyn was there holding 2 coffees like she'd known I'd need one. She looked at my face and didn't ask for details, just said, You ready to choose your day? I nodded, and in my head a new question formed. Steady, not desperate. If I'm allowed to want, what comes next? The message came in at 9:03 a.m., right? When I was starting to feel like myself again. You know that timing? When life lets you breathe for 5 minutes, and then tests whether you'll shrink back. David wrote, Mom, this has gone too far. Lily is upset. Laura's upset. I'm upset. We didn't leave you out. We thought you'd rather stay home. Please stop making this weird and just come back. We need you. We need you. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I didn't realize. Just, get back in position. I read it twice, then a third time. Like maybe the apology would appear if I stared hard enough. It didn't. My first instinct was old and automatic. Explain, smooth, fix. Type a long message full of soft edges. It's okay. I understand. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry you feel. Have you ever written an apology you didn't owe, just to keep the peace? I set the phone down and walked to the sink to wash my coffee mug, even though it was already clean, because my body still thinks busy hands can erase hard feelings. What do you do when the person you love is asking for your presence, but only in the shape that benefits them? Evelyn knocked on my door a few minutes later. She had her sun hat on and that calm look people get when they've survived something. Day trip to Taos? She asked. We'll take the scenic route. No pressure. I almost said, I can't. Not because I didn't want to go, because I felt I had to earn the right to. Then I heard myself say, yes, give me 10 minutes. And that's when I understood something important. Every time I choose myself, it gets a little easier. The drive was quiet at first. Then Evelyn said, like she was reading my mind, "You got a message, didn't you?" I nodded. "What did it say?" she asked. I hesitated, then told her the truth. Evelyn didn't gasp or curse. She just exhaled through her nose like she'd heard this story before. "They need you," she repeated. "Funny how that comes up when they're inconvenienced." I stared out at the road. "I love my family," I said. "I know," she replied. "That's why this hurts." That line landed gently, but it didn't let me off the hook. She added, "So what are you going to do, Marlene? Are you going to return to the role or return to yourself?" In Taos, we walked through a small market. I bought a bag of warm roasted nuts. We sat on a bench and watched people pass. And I thought of Lily's voice. Good. I pulled out my phone and started a new message to David. I kept it short because long messages are where I hide. Here's what I wrote. "David, I'm safe. I'm not doing this to punish you. I'm doing it because I'm tired of being treated like the help. You didn't ask me to come. You decided for me. I love you and I love Lily, but I am not available as your backup plan anymore. When I come home, we can talk. If you want me in your life, it will be as Marlene, not as a service." My thumb hovered over send. Then I asked myself one last question. If I don't say it now, how many more years will I swallow it? I hit send. My stomach fluttered like I'd stepped off a ledge. Then, calm. Evelyn watched me tuck the phone away. "Good," she said. "Now eat your nuts and look at the sky like it belongs to you." And I did, because for the first time, it did. The phone buzzed again in my bag. A reply, probably. But I didn't reach for it immediately. I let it wait. Because I'm learning something late, but real. Urgency is not the same as love. The phone buzzed 3 times before I touched it. And that pause wasn't a game. It was practice. Practice at not jumping when someone whistles. I pulled the phone out and saw David's name. My stomach tightened, but my hands stayed calm. I opened the message. It was shorter than mine. "Okay, I hear you." I didn't realize it was that bad. "Laura is angry. Lily is confused. I'm confused. Please tell me when you're coming home. No apology. Not yet." But something was different. Not softer exactly, just less certain. Like the floor under him had shifted, and he finally noticed. I stared at the word when, not if, he still assumed the ending. He still assumed I would return to my spot, like a lamp that got unplugged. And I could feel the old Marlene waking up, the one who rushes in to comfort the people who hurt her. But then I remembered Lily saying, "Good." And I remembered the museum sky. How much space it took without asking. How many times have you taught people that you'll come running, and then wondered why they never walked toward you? Evelyn and I were sitting outside a small cafe when I answered him. I didn't type back right away. I spoke the words out loud first, to see if they felt true. Evelyn watched my face. "What are you thinking?" "I'm deciding," I said. "Not reacting." She nodded, like that was the whole point of growing older. So I typed, "I'll come home on Sunday, not sooner. I'm not discussing this by text. We can talk in person calmly. And I'm not stepping back into the old arrangement." I hit send and set the phone down. I expected a wave of panic. Instead, I felt steady, like I'd finally stopped negotiating with my own dignity. An hour later, another message came in, this time from Laura. And I almost didn't open it, because if you've been the easy one for long enough, you start to fear any real conversation. But I opened it. "Marlene, I've replayed our goodbye 100 times. I keep hearing myself telling you to lock doors and water plants. I'm embarrassed. I don't know how we got so comfortable treating you like staff. I'm sorry." I read it twice. Then I read it again, slower. The words didn't erase anything, but they made space, and space is where change can start, if it's real. I wanted to answer with comfort, to protect her from feeling bad. That old reflex jumped up, ready to do its job. But I stopped it, because her discomfort was not my emergency. So I replied, "Thank you for saying it. I'll see you Sunday." That was it. No extra softness. No, don't worry. No, it's fine. Because it wasn't fine. And we were done pretending. Have you ever told the truth so simply that it felt like a new language in your mouth? That afternoon, I went back to the market and bought myself a new lipstick. Not expensive, just good. a color with some life in it. Then I bought a small notebook with a plain cover. I sat on a bench and wrote 3 headings: what I will do, what I won't do, what I need, and under what I won't do, I wrote, last-minute babysitting like it's assumed, house-sitting without being asked with respect, being spoken to like an employee, being included only when it's convenient. Under what I need, I wrote, plans made with me, not for me, time with Lily that isn't attached to chores, a voice that isn't punished with silence. My name said like it matters. My eyes burned a little, but I kept writing. Because I wasn't making demands. I was making a map. That evening, Evelyn and I took one last slow walk. She didn't ask what I'd decided. She could see it. You're going back different, she said. I'm going back awake, I answered. She smiled. Good, don't let them talk you to sleep. At the corner of the plaza, she squeezed my hand once. Not a hug, not drama. Just one firm squeeze. Like a reminder, you're not imagining it. You're not overreacting. That night I packed, carefully. Not like someone fleeing. Like someone returning with a spine. I placed the new lipstick in the side pocket. I placed the notebook on top, and then I looked at the spare key in my purse. I didn't throw it away. I didn't kiss it like a symbol of duty. I just let it sit there, quiet, powerless. Because on Sunday, I would walk into that house again. And this time, I wouldn't be just in case. I would be Marlene. When I landed, nobody was waiting. No bouquet, no apologies. No, we were so scared. Just me, my suitcase, and the sound of rolling wheels on tile. And you know what? It didn't break me. It proved something. I had been doing the emotional work for everyone for years. And they didn't even know how to meet me halfway. In the cab ride home, I watched my own town pass by like a movie I'd seen too many times. The grocery store where I used to buy cupcakes for school bake sales. The park bench where Lily told me her first real secret. The stoplight where David used to fall asleep in the back seat after Little League. I felt love. And I felt grief. Both can live in the same body. Have you ever loved people deeply and still known you can't keep disappearing to make them comfortable? At home, the house smelled like stillness. My plants were alive. Mrs. Patel had done her part. I set my suitcase down and didn't unpack. I made tea first. Because tea is what I do when I'm trying to stay calm enough to tell the truth. My phone buzzed. A text from Lily. Are you home? I answered, yes, door's open. 10 minutes later, she came in like she used to, fast, half nervous, half brave. She didn't say hello. She just hugged me hard, her arms tight around my ribs like she was making sure I was real. I'm glad you came back, she whispered. I'm glad too, I said. But I didn't come back smaller. She pulled away and looked at my face like she was studying. A new version of a painting she already loved. You look different, she said. Better or worse? I asked. She smiled a little. More you. Then the doorbell rang. Lily's eyes flicked toward it. That's them. My heart beat once, heavy. I didn't rush to the door. I stayed at the table because the old me would have stood up fast to manage the moment. This time, I let the moment come to me. Lily opened the door. David stepped in first, shoulders tense, face tired. Laura behind him, hands folded like she wasn't sure where to put them. They walked into the kitchen like they expected a storm. But I wasn't a storm. I was weathered ground. David cleared his throat. Mom. I nodded. David, Laura said softly. Hi, Marlene. It surprised me. My name in her mouth, not a label. I pointed to the chairs. Sit. They sat. Nobody spoke for a few seconds. The kettle clicked as it cooled. Then I asked, calm and plain, do you know why I left? David started, we thought. I lifted my hand. Not angry, just firm. No, not what you thought. What you did. He swallowed. We planned a trip. We didn't include you. We left you with tasks. Yes, I said. And you told me I'd be more comfortable here. Laura's eyes filled, but she didn't interrupt. That mattered. I slid my notebook across the table. I wrote down what I won't do anymore, I said. Read it, not to feel guilty, to understand the new rules of loving me. David looked at the page like it was heavier than paper. Lily leaned forward, reading too. David's voice came out rough. We didn't mean to treat you like staff. I believe you, I said. But impact is what changes a person, not intent. What if the most loving thing you can do is stop accepting what hurts you? Laura nodded slowly. What do you want from us now? There it was. The question, not what they needed. Not what would make it easier. What I wanted, I took a breath. I want invitations that are real. I want plans made with me. I want time with Lily that doesn't come with a chore list. And I want respect when I say no. David's eyes dropped. I'm sorry, he said finally. Not perfect, not polished, but real. I nodded. Thank you. We sat in the silence. Not punishing silence, learning silence. Then I poured tea. Because I wasn't ending the family. I was ending the role. Later, after they left, Lily stayed. She helped me unpack. And when she found my lopsided pottery bowl wrapped in a towel, she laughed. This is so ugly, she said. I know, I said. I love it. She looked at me and grinned. Teach me how to make something ugly on purpose. I will, I said. And I'll teach you something else too. What? How to leave the table when they stop setting a place for you. If this story hit you, I want to ask you something. When was the last time you chose yourself without asking permission? Tell me in the comments. Have you ever been treated like the backup plan? In your own family. If you want more stories like this, real, emotional, and about starting over at any age, like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you in the next story.